Oi! Oh, it's late. This is going to be a little bit different, you guys. I am in my evening wear. I got my smoking jacket on. I got a cold beverage with me right here. I am ready to do a little bit more of a free form version of Balls Deep Breakdown here with me, your host, Uncle Weezy. I've been watching a lot of people talk about the main event this weekend, UFC 265, Derrick Lewis versus Ciryl Gane. It's a lot of one-way traffic with the people who are talking about this fight. Everybody's on Ciryl Gane. I get it, but I'm hoping that we can kind of just, like a family here with your Uncle Weezy and all the rest of my MMA fam out here. Can we talk about this? Can we talk about why somebody who leads the UFC in the most knockouts ever is getting disrespected at a minus 350 line on Ciryl Gane for a guy, who's been around for a long time in Derrick Lewis, he was what, minus 350 or minus 400 Curtis Blades was against him in the last time out. How come nobody is giving Derrick Lewis a chance here, man? Do we got to talk about this? Do we got to kind of go through these numbers a little bit? Do we got to discuss this and maybe have your Uncle Weezy provide some contrarian viewpoints here? Let's talk about this fight, man. I can't wait to get into it with you guys, dude. And I know some of you guys stayed up with me to talk about it because, this is a great fight. It's the main event. But I'm hoping we can kind of get into some stats here, get into some tape, take a look at who might win this fight. And I got to talk to the people who are staying up with your Uncle Weezy tonight. We got Dave in the room, a UK-friendly Balls Deep. Yes, please. Damn right, man. I was done with my content for the week. I had already done 2.5 hours of Stat Diggers on Sunday night with my man Brady, DFS by the numbers on Pub Sports Radio. I did 3 Balls Deep breakdowns this week on my channel. I did a main event deep dive with my guy DFS by the numbers on his channel for this fight here. We went about 35, 40 minutes into it. Also did the brand new DraftKings show on Pub Sports Radio, that 4-man panel that went really well, and I had so much fun doing. But you know what? I didn't hear anybody kind of giving Derrick Lewis a chance, so I wanted to talk about it with you guys. I wanted to break down this fight one more time. Let's talk about it. It's late night. We can kind of let our inhibitions go here, have a cold beverage, and talk about a fantastic heavyweight fight here. So let me share my screen with you guys here, and we can bring some stats up, and we can figure out what we want to do, which way we want to go. Look at Smooth Jimmy there. He's ready to go here. And let's see. We've got the advanced stats here. We got the Lewis Gane right there. And let's get into these numbers. And before we do, my man Monk, MMA Addicts, MMA Ticks. I can't fucking pronounce shit this late at night when I'm this crispy, but Monk is the man. Does some amazing things with numbers. If you have not checked out Monk's channel on YouTube, please go check it out. Guy does amazing things with statistics. His spreadsheets blow mine away, and he's a great fucking dude. So, Monk, thank you for hanging out. Thanks for staying up late with your Uncle Weezy tonight. And we got my guy Brig Brady in the room. What is going on, dude? What's the cold beverage, Uncle Weezy? We got a double dry hopped IPA here from one of the finest breweries in the Chicagoland area called Hop Butcher. This is, I don't remember what it's called at the moment, but it is quite good. It's quite full of alcohol. It's got me feeling very nice so far. And I'm properly lathered up to discuss this fight with you guys. And we got Uncle Hefner. Kalanzis in the room. What's up, dude? Yeah, this smoking jacket actually belonged to my grandfather. It is a family heirloom. I love this thing. I always put this thing on when it's time to let the inhibitions go and maybe say some things that we normally wouldn't say in our button down balls deep breakdowns that I do. The Uncle Weezy that you're used to is gonna like kind of like take the chains off in this one here. And we got Monk saying, do we got to get balls deep? Do we have to, man? And Kalantzis is saying Lewis is the value play, dude. And if you bet Lewis by knockout against Curtis Blades, I think you got about plus 450 on that. So if you bet that last time, you were probably partying that night. And something tells me there's a chance, there's a way better chance than plus 425, plus 430, which is where you can get Lewis by knockout right now, that's going to happen. And we're going to get into some reasons here. We got Cam saying, let's go. What's up, Weezy, out here in the Northeast? Dude, you're staying up in the Northeast. You're even an hour later than we are. Thanks for hanging out with us late night. I really appreciate it, Cam. And we got Libby here saying, loving the content. Libby, I'm loving you hanging out here with your Uncle Weezy late night. We got to talk about this main event. It's such an intriguing fight. Derrick Lewis is such a tremendous personality, such a likable guy. And he is the UFC all-time leader in knockouts with 12 wins by knockout in the UFC in the heavyweight division. Absolutely amazing. One of my favorite fighters. And Ciryl Gane is 9-0, and he is 6-0 in the UFC. And after those 6 wins, he is already fighting for an interim title belt. He is absolutely a rising star in this division and has proven quite a bit in these last 3 fights. And everybody's on the hype train when it comes to Ciryl Gane. And I am really ready to get into these mathematics. I'm Monk Emma Maddox. Okay, yeah, I'm the Monkmatician. Haha, you're the man. You're the man, dude. I think you're the man. You've got some amazing stuff, Monk. I'm really happy that you're hanging out with us tonight, man. B saying, love it. Pretty pate for me, though. And we got Headley 1 saying, Lewis round 3, 4, 5 props are ridiculous. Yeah, we're going to get into those odds, too, because we have to look into the odds if we're going to figure out how we're going to handicap this fight. So we see that Ciryl Gane is the younger man here. He is 31 years old. Derrick Lewis, 36. We got Gane with the 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. So all 3 of the measurables, age, height, and reach, are in the advantage of Ciryl Gane here. Now, if we go into pro experience, obviously, we're going to find basically the same thing we found in Ciryl Gane's last fight. He was outmatched on the experience. And in this case, it is the exact same situation. 9 professional fights for Ciryl Gane and a professional career that is just under 3 years. It's unbelievable. 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days since Ciryl Gane has had his first fight. I mean, Derrick Lewis, 11 years, 3 months, and 22 days is the length of the pro career today. And this guy has been doing it for about 8 years longer. So we've got about 183 more minutes of cage time. We got an average fight time that's about 3 minutes shorter for Derrick Lewis. He is definitely the knockout king. And if we look at the UFC experience, we see 21 fights for Derrick Lewis. He's accrued a 16-5 record, while Ciryl Gane is undefeated at 6-0. And we've got about 110 more minutes of cage time for Derrick Lewis in the UFC, and an average fight time at 9.56 minutes, while Ciryl Gane, having went the distance in 2 25-minute fights, actually has an average fight time over 15 minutes at 15.26 minutes. Now, if we look at how these guys finish fights, completely unsurprising here that Derrick Lewis would have finished 80% of his pro wins by knockout, 4% of his pro wins by submission, while Ciryl Gane, 2 wins by submission, 2 wins by knockout, 2 wins by decision. So he is what I call an equal opportunity winner. He can do it anyway. Ciryl Gane's never lost, while in Derrick Lewis's 7 professional losses, he has a 71% finish rate against. So if my math is correct, that is 5 times he's been finished out of 7 losses. That would be 4 times by knockout and 1 time by submission. So 4 knockout losses, 1 submission loss, 2 decision losses in Derrick Lewis's career. So, Derrick Lewis, obviously having lost in his career, unlike Ciryl Gane, has been finished in a number of different ways, but knockout is the way that he has been finished the most. Now, if we go to the striking stats here, we see that Ciryl Gane is going to have the more eye-popping numbers here in terms of volume, in terms of accuracy. Derrick Lewis only lands 2.59 significant strikes per minute out of 5.13 offered for a 50% striking accuracy, while we got Ciryl Gane at 5.13 significant strikes landed per minute, 9.41 offered. So almost twice the volume Ciryl Gane is throwing here, and he's almost up to 55% in his striking accuracy. If we look at the power numbers, we see knockdowns for total significant strikes landed at about 0.4% for Ciryl Gane, while it's 1.35% for Derrick Lewis. So Derrick Lewis has, about a 3 times better chance of landing a knockdown if he lands a significant strike than Ciryl Gane does. At 1.35%, I think we're looking probably at about 7 career UFC knockdowns for Derrick Lewis in his career. But the thing about a Derrick Lewis knockdown is that you don't get up from one. I think there's only one guy that he's knocked down twice in his UFC career, and that was Marcin Tybura, and he won that fight. Derrick Lewis is undefeated if he has a knockdown in a fight. So when that dude knocks you down, it's not just a knockdown, it's a knockout. And it's something you're probably not going to wake up from for a couple of minutes. So Derrick Lewis, you don't need your Uncle Weezy to tell you that this dude absolutely has fight-changing power. We've seen it so many times. We've seen it 12 times just in his UFC career that he has sent people to the shadow realm. When he knocks people out, they don't get up for a while. He has absolutely vicious power, and Ciryl Gane does not. Ciryl Gane hits like a middleweight. He moves like a middleweight. He has the footwork of some of the best striking middleweights. What Ciryl Gane does really well is finesse. What Derrick Lewis does very well is power. And I think that there is a clash of styles here because I don't really see this fight hitting the grappling realm really at all. Derrick Lewis, we'll get into these grappling stats, not a particularly willing wrestler. This is a guy who one of his best weapons is the way that he saves his energy because he doesn't need much energy. Everything that he does in the cage is just trying to suck you into that right hand. Even when he's throwing kicks, even when he's throwing those jump knees, he's just trying to back you up against the cage so that you can only move laterally. And then he wants to throw that big right hand. And if he lands it, it doesn't really matter who you are, you're going down. So it's a very interesting stylistic matchup in the fact that, Derrick Lewis, in my opinion, what I think that nobody's really talking about with this fight, and you guys can check me in the chat if you think I'm a dumbass, but I'm getting a read on this fight that's a lot different than everybody else. We look at the last 5 fights for Ciryl Gane and Derrick Lewis, and we see the Tanner Boser fight. Ciryl Gane beat him by decision. The Junior Dos Santos fight, he beat one of the best boxers in the history of the UFC. Definitely was his last fight in the UFC. He's on his way out there. Beats one of the great kickboxers in UFC right now in Jairzinho Rozenstruik, guy with a ton of power. And then another great kickboxer in Alexander Volkov. And I think what everybody is just kind of saying at this point is they're saying Ciryl Gane is beating all these great kickboxers, and here comes Derrick Lewis, who isn't nearly as skilled in kickboxing as any of those guys. Therefore, Ciryl Gane's going to dance around, and he's going to pick this guy apart, and eventually, before the fight is over, he's going to knock him out. Well, I don't see Derrick Lewis's camp while they're working their strategy for this fight. I don't see them saying, okay, here's how we're going to out-kickbox Ciryl Gane, because they realize that that's not going to happen. I think Alexander Volkov tried to out-kickbox Ciryl Gane. I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik tried to out-kickbox Ciryl Gane. I think that Tanner Boser tried to out-kickbox Ciryl Gane. I think that Junior Dos Santos tried to do the same thing. I don't think Derrick Lewis is going to do that. I don't think Derrick Lewis has any illusions that he's going to kind of dance around on the outside and outpoint this guy. Derrick Lewis is very smart about what it is that he does well. he conserves his energy. He tries to land that big shot, and he doesn't really do anything else that takes him away from that goal. I mean, we've seen him when he's on the ground and somebody will take him down. Like the Shamil Abdur-Rahimov fight is a great example of this, where we have Derrick Lewis being taken down over and over again, and Abdur-Rahimov is landing some ground and pound. He's advancing position, and Derrick Lewis looks like he's doing absolutely nothing. And the reason that it looks like that is because he's doing absolutely nothing. And he's just conserving his energy, and he's just waiting. He's not letting Abdur-Rahimov get off too much striking. He's landing some stuff, but he's not letting him dominate. And then when he's sick of being on the bottom, he just bench presses you off of him, and he stands up. This dude has the kind of strength that's just you can't really even measure it. He's way stronger than Ciryl Gane. He has that brute force. And as much as Ciryl Gane dances around in this fight, he's going to have to do it for 25 minutes and not get hit by this guy. Because Derrick Lewis doesn't hit like Alexander Volkov. He doesn't hit like Junior Dos Santos. He doesn't even really hit like Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a great striker, and he's got a better knockdowns per total significant strikes landed. He's got fantastic power in his hands. But Derrick Lewis has the brute strength, and he doesn't beat you with technique, because you've seen some of the knockdowns that Jairzinho Rozenstruik's gotten in the UFC. They're coming with jabs. He's not even knocking people down with his strong hand. It's the technique, it's the speed and the precision that set Rozenstruik apart when he was knocking people out. It wasn't until the last 15 seconds of the Overeem fight that he jumped into that big right hand, and it was because he knew there was no time left. But he was waiting for that, and he waited against Ciryl Gane. Derrick Lewis isn't going to wait on this guy. I don't think that this is going to be a kickboxing match. I don't think that Ciryl Gane is going to be able to outpoint him for 25 minutes, because if he just tries to outpoint him, he's not going to knock out Lewis. And eventually, he's going to make a mistake, and Lewis is going to corner him, and he's going to uncork those big shots. And I think that he can catch him. Now, Ciryl Gane has been tremendous defensively. Don't think that I'm missing that. He has numbers defensively that are eye-popping for this division. And I am not shorting his ability to do any of the things that have gotten him to this point where he's fighting for the interim championship here and will be moving on to fight Francis Ngannou if he beats Derrick Lewis. Let's look at the striking defense here. This guy, Ciryl Gane, is landing 5.13 significant strikes per minute, which is about 2.6 more than Derrick Lewis lands per minute. And he's absorbing about half that in 2.6 per minute. Tremendous defense. While Derrick Lewis lands 2.59 and only absorbs 2.16. So we still have a positive, significant strike differential for Lewis. He's only got 45% striking defense. He is very hittable. And I think that Gane, when he is at distance, and that when he is kickboxing within range, he'll be piecing up Lewis. I just don't think he's going to want to get into that range very much. And I think that people who think Ciryl Gane is going to wrestle Derrick Lewis, I think that would be a very, very, very bad idea. That is not how Ciryl Gane wins this fight. He wins it by staying on the very outside, keeping it very boring, using his conditioning, his footwork, and completely staying on his bike, and having his third straight really boring performance. That's how Ciryl Gane's going to win this fight, you guys. He's not gonna go and stand in the pocket and trade with Derrick Lewis. He would be out of his mind if he did that. If he tries to take down Derrick Lewis and he eats one of those uppercuts, he's not going to wake up for a couple of days. Lewis will punt his fucking head into the upper deck if he tries to shoot for a takedown. And I just don't think it would be a good idea, because Ciryl Gane is not an efficient wrestler. He does not have accurate takedowns. This guy is a kickboxer at heart. That was what his martial art was before he got into MMA. You don't just learn wrestling overnight. You know, wrestling is something that people learn from a very young age. You know, they spend years and years and years in a smelly ass wrestling room. Anybody who's ever spent time in a wrestling room knows that there is the distinct smell of ass in there that can only you could blindfold a wrestler. You could walk him into somebody's wrestling room and be like, that's a fucking wrestling room. I recognize that smell of ass because I lived it and I breathed it into my lungs for years and years and years. It'd be at the pre-high school level, at the high school level, at the college level. And then there's some of these guys go to the Olympics, you know what the smell of a wrestling room is or a dojo is. It's not good. It smells like fucking ass. And Ciryl Gane hasn't been doing that for long enough to be confident wrestling a guy like Derrick Lewis. Because if Lewis gets the underhook and he gets you on your ass, you're fucked if Derrick Lewis gets on top of you. Look at this guy's entire UFC career. When this guy gets on top of you, you don't get up. You get knocked the fuck out. And it doesn't matter if you beat the shit out of him for 3.5 rounds. If he gets on top of you, it's fucking over. There is too much risk for Ciryl Gane to be shooting takedowns in this fight. He has to absolutely operate from a distance and make this fight extremely boring. Because if he gets anywhere near Derrick Lewis, that's the only chance that Lewis has. And this is a 25-minute fight. Derrick Lewis isn't under the impression that he's going to win a kickboxing battle. He's not trying to win minutes and win 3 rounds of this fight. He's looking to land one big shot. And let me tell you fucking something. Ciryl Gane has never been hit in his career like he will be hit by Derrick Lewis if Derrick Lewis lands one of those big bombs. And you can say he trains with Francis Ngannou. Well, not anymore. And you wear headgear when you spar with a motherfucker like that, because nobody's in there without headgear sparring fucking Francis Ngannou. If you get knocked out by that dude in training, you're not coming back for like 3 months. So I am worried about Ciryl Gane avoiding that power for a full 25 minutes when the opponent that he has in front of him isn't under the impression that he's going to win a kickboxing match. So am I fucking nuts, you guys? Am I crazy? Am I just, if I had a couple too many here, if I had this smoking jacket on too long and I'm a little too crispy at this point, what do you guys think, man? Let's see what we got in the chat here, because you guys are probably thinking I'm absolutely off my rocker here. And let's see. We've got Monk Maddox in the room. We've got Headley One saying $20 on Lewis round 5 TKO, plays like 1,000. Yeah, that's crazy. But the thing about Lewis is, and these people are right, the people who are thinking that Ciryl Gane is going to win and he's going to win inside the distance, Derrick Lewis has never been the full 5 rounds. And that's absolutely valid. And we've seen him. And of course, he's going to get tired late in fights. The dude is 265 pounds. He throws full force into every strike that he throws. If it gets to the 4th or 5th round, of course he's going to be tired. I mean, that's natural. And Ciryl Gane is going to have the athleticism advantage, the speed advantage, the technique advantage, and the conditioning advantage here. So, I see why that line is so wide. So that makes sense. But Derrick Lewis his power, it just doesn't matter when he hits you. Remember the Volkov fight? It was about 13 and a half, 14 minutes into that fight that finally Lewis decided there's a minute left in the fight. If I'm going to win this fight, I'm going to have to come at him. And he did. And he kind of threw caution to the wind and he connected. And it's something that Ciryl Gane couldn't do in 5 rounds. And as a matter of fact, let's just call it what it was. Ciryl Gane clearly won that fight. He probably won all 5 rounds. At worst, Ciryl Gane only won 3 rounds. But let's just face it. He never hurt Alexander Volkov once. Not once. He never hurt him. He outpointed him for 5 rounds. He danced. He did exactly what he was supposed to do for the fight. He won it clearly. Nobody's disputing that. But he never hurt him. Not once. Okay? And Volkov, kind of just stayed in the striking range and tried to win some rounds on the scorecards. It didn't work. Same thing for Rosenstruik. I mean, Rosenstruik came out of that fight just like, all right, well, he never got hurt. Never got hurt once. 5 rounds. Boring fucking fight. That was a shit fight. But you know what? Ciryl Gane made it boring because his skill level was so far above what Rosenstruik's skill level was for what Rosenstruik was trying to do. He just had the completely wrong game plan. He didn't throw caution to the wind. I think that Derrick Lewis is such a smart fighter in the way that he conserves his energy. He doesn't try to do things that are outside of what he does best. He knows exactly who he is. He uses that power. When it doesn't connect, he loses. And he will lose. I mean, like, if he's only got 5 losses in the UFC, and 3 of them came a long time ago, he's a little bit of a different fighter now. And you look at the type of competition that he's losing to, and it's pretty elite. We're going to get into that shortly. We got Monk saying too many M's. Yeah, right. And we got holy shit at Headley one. We got Alistair Overeem. Still can't look at his shoes without gluing them to his. Oh my God. Yeah, dude. That was so bad. That was a Rock'em Sock'em Robots knockout. Well, I mean, like, there's been a couple. The Jairzinho Rosenstruik one where he split his lip like all the way up to his nose. That was nasty. But then the Francis Ngannou one, man, oh man, did he take his head off, dude? That was nasty. And he's saying, never mind, wrong fight, but I know exactly what you're talking about, Monk, because that was one, like his shoes are up there now, dude. It's crazy. We got B saying the Beast needs 1 right minimum. Ciryl needs 116 minimum. Yeah, exactly the way that I feel about it. Comparing Lewis to the rest of the UFC roster, he's a bum, but he's a bum with power and a bum that everyone likes, but he's still a bum. Well, he's one-dimensional. And if that's what you think makes him a bum, that's fair, because he's a lot less well-rounded than a lot of guys in the heavyweight division. But this is the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division isn't full of incredibly skilled guys. A guy like Stipe Miocic, a lot of people said was the heavyweight GOAT, and it was because he was versatile and athletic. And I think a lot of people see that in Ciryl Gane now. They see a guy who's very versatile. He's locked up a couple of submissions in the UFC, having been a kickboxer prior to the UFC. He gets an arm triangle choke against Pessoa. He gets a leg lock against heel hook against Dante Mays. And he's pulling off these champagne submissions. And then he's a knockout guy too. And then he's got the conditioning. He's got the speed. He's got the athleticism. And yeah, compared to Ciryl Gane, when we line up all the attributes of Gane and all the attributes of Lewis, you got Lewis here with power and brute strength. And then you got all these things here for Gane. And yeah, it's really easy to call Derrick Lewis a bum, but he's a bum that's 16-5 in the UFC. He's got 3.2 wins for every time that he loses. Find me one guy in the history of this organization who has more knockouts than Derrick Lewis does. You'll be looking a long fucking time. And that's not a bum. You're not a bum in the heavyweight division when you have the most knockouts in the history of the organization. And that doesn't come by accident. Derrick Lewis is a far less skilled mixed martial artist than Ciryl Gane. I would be absolutely nuts if I disputed that. But I do know that nobody in the UFC is connected with Ciryl Gane yet. And there's a good reason for that. Man, oh man, is Ciryl Gane good defensively. But Derrick Lewis, I really think he knows that he's a bum. He knows he's a bum. But he fights very smart, and he sucks you into his game plan, and he does things, and he will be very, very patient, which is something that a lot of mixed martial arts are not. A lot of mixed martial artists are not patient in the cage. We talk about how important cage IQ is. Well, go through a lot of Derrick Lewis's fights, and you come to me after looking all the tape, and then you talk to me not about skill things that he's doing wrong. Talk to me about when he's made mistakes. And then really think about it. When has he made mistakes? I mean, a lot of the losses that he's had because he was absolutely just outskilled. I mean, Daniel Cormier, Daniel Cormier took him down and wore on him and used his top game to beat the shit out of him. Well, Daniel Cormier's, gold medalist. He's really good at that, and like the Francis Ngannou fight. I mean, that fight really didn't even really have a winner. But you know what? Let's get into the grappling stats here real quick before we get into the strength of schedule. Ciryl Gane, 5 out of 23 on takedown attempts. So when I say that this guy shouldn't wrestle Derrick Lewis, I think it's an unnecessary risk to take to try to even wrestle when you're only getting takedowns against, I don't know, guys like Bozer and Mays, and Junior Dos Santos has got really good takedown defense. Rosenstruik's got piss poor takedown defense, and Gane really didn't have a good takedown accuracy against Rosenstruik. So he's got a 22% takedown accuracy. I think it would be a waste of energy for him to try to take down Lewis. While Lewis is 7 out of 26, so he's getting the takedowns at a slightly higher percentage, but he's a much less active wrestler, as he has 26 takedown attempts in 21 fights, while for Ciryl Gane, it's 23 takedown attempts in 6 fights. We see that control time for Derrick Lewis, 14%, and he's being controlled 29% of the time, while Ciryl Gane's got 8.79% control time, but he's only yielding 0.05% control time. I believe if I were to look at my advanced stats, that means that in Ciryl Gane's UFC career, he has been only controlled 3 seconds of his UFC career. So, Ciryl Gane, what is his best attribute in this fight? It's this defensive proficiency that he has. He's got 100% takedown defense, but I don't think it's that impressive because he's only faced 3 takedown attempts in 6 fights. So he's successfully defended 3 takedown attempts. He hasn't even had one shot against him, I think, since the Mays fight, to be honest with you. So it doesn't mean much. Derrick Lewis has got a 54% takedown defense. He's 35 of his opponents are 35 of 77 on their takedown attempts against him. They're averaging 2.62 takedowns per 15 minutes and a 30% control time. So he's being controlled twice as much as he's controlling his opponents. But the thing about that is that Derrick Lewis has only been submitted once. So all this control time and all these submission attempts against, only one of them has been successful. And he gets up an awful lot because he's been taken down 35 times in 21 fights. But we've seen it over and over again. The Abdurakhimov fight, he just gets up when he feels like it. So Ciryl Gane not being an accomplished wrestler, I don't think that he should even go to the takedowns here. And like I mentioned earlier, God forbid if Derrick Lewis gets on top of this man, he's going to go King Kong and pound his head through the canvas. So we're going to get into the strength of schedule stats here. But before we do, let me catch up with the chat. And we have got B saying, I have money on Lewis because of the odds, and he's literally a beast. He's the black beast, man. That dude he just hits like a fucking truck. And he's saying round 4 KO Lewis. That would be interesting to see him carry the power that late in the fight, but he got a 4th round knockout over Shamil Abdurakhimov. So it is certainly possible, B. And we got PayPal My Money DFS saying nice robe. I appreciate it, but it's not a robe, my friend. It's a smoking jacket. Look at the lapels there. Look at the sleeves. This is a fine garment, my friend. It's better than a robe. And we got B saying either Gane by decision or Lewis by KO. I'm sure if you do both, you should make money. Yeah, potentially. I think Gane inside the distance is a good bet, and I think the fight doesn't go to decision is a very good bet because Derrick Lewis has never been the full 5 rounds. And if he doesn't find that power shot, I think eventually The best route for a knockout for Gane is a shot to the body. We've seen Derrick Lewis be hurt to the body before, and potentially, that would be the way to knock him out, or really to get him hurt and get him into a place where you could actually finish him. So, I think that inside the distance, the fight doesn't go to decision. If you're in a place kind of like I am right now, which this line is just, there's no value for me in Ciryl Gane at minus 350. I'm really looking at that knockout prop for Derrick Lewis, because I think that's how the only way that he wins is by knockout. So if you like Derrick Lewis, pop that plus 430 by knockout, because that's how he wins, because he's not going to win rounds here. Like I say, he's a patient fighter, but when he gets impatient, you're in trouble, because like I say, when Derrick Lewis finds a little bit of urgency and he has some gas left in the tank, if he backs you up, if he finds you in a place, if you cross your feet at the wrong time, if your footwork isn't on point for just a second, he'll get you into that right hand and you're going to be in trouble. So, I think that the fight doesn't go to decision is a great bet, because if Lewis doesn't get it done by the fourth round, I think he's going to be exhausted. I think Gane will be working the body, and he will find a way to finish him if Lewis is unable to conserve his energy and find that power shot before the end of the fourth round. We got Allen in the room saying that Volkov plays it smarter versus Lewis. He wins on the scorecards easy. I think you could have given that the first and the fourth round were kind of close, in my opinion. But like I say, that was a close fucking fight. I scored probably all 5 rounds for Gane. I would have had no problem with a 50-45 scorecard. I think 49-46 would have been all right. I think 48-47 would have been friendly to Volkov. But, not friendly enough, because he still wouldn't win with 48-47. That's Gane's fight. But you know what? Like I say, he never hurt Volkov. He never had Volkov in any trouble. Volkov kind of left that fight looking exactly the same as he walked in. He didn't get hurt. So, and like I say, Allen's kind of right. Volkov showed no fucking urgency at all. I was very disappointed with his performance. And I kind of wondered, was he hurt? Because I just didn't see him. Like I say, he should have known by the third round. Whatever it is that you're trying to do here, it's not working on the judges' scorecards. So you got to throw caution to the wind and be aggressive. But, that's something we didn't see out of Rosenstruik for 5 rounds. We didn't see out of Volkov for 5 rounds. We didn't get a chance to see it out of Dos Santos. So I just think Derrick Lewis is a different animal. And I think he's going to provide a very unique challenge, because this isn't going to be a kickboxing match. Derrick Lewis is a brawler, and I think he's going to find a way to turn this fight into a brawl. And I think he's going to be patient, and I think he's going to find angles and give Ciryl Gane a test that Ciryl Gane hasn't seen in this very young, less than 3-year mixed martial arts career. 2 years, 11 months, you guys. There's still a giant, experience disadvantage for him here. So, like I say, I wanted to present a little bit different of an opinion here, because like everybody's just saying Gane's going to cruise. It's a lock. The fucking line reflects that too. It's minus 350 Gane, for Christ's sake. So, it's, obviously everybody's on him. So, I just kind of wanted to play devil's advocate for you guys here. We got Zor saying, let's go Lewis. Dude, I believe that. I'm with you there. Yo, Bleed in the room. Dude, my guy, one of my favorite content providers, one of the inspirations for me to get this mic and get in front of the mic. My man, Bleed in the room. Good to see you hanging out, my man. Thanks for hanging out with Balls Deep Breakdown. I got my smoking jacket on. I feel like I'm properly dressed for your first appearance in one of my chats, man. Good to see you, man. We got Allen saying Lewis back will be out by the third round. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised by it. We got J-Boy saying going to be a good one. Hell yeah, man. Dude, it's going to be a very good one. It's a great main event. And thank God they fucking they scheduled this, because it was supposed to be Nunez Pena, and that fell off. So if we didn't have that, we would have had to go with Aldo Munoz or Chiesa Luque to be a main event. And both those fights are going to be great, but I'd rather see Derrick Lewis and Ciryl Gane bang it out. I think it's going to be a fun one, man. Billy Briz, one of my favorite pub sports radio personalities, who did an amazing job on the Die Hard MMA podcast on Monday in the room. Loving the outfit, dude. I'm loving you being here with us, man. I appreciate you hanging out, Billy. Good to see you, brother. We got B saying, thanks for putting these up, Uncle Weezy. I really appreciate the videos. I got to go to bed. I hope you keep on keeping on. Dude, thanks for staying up late. It's already almost 1 a.m. here in Chicago, man. So I appreciate you guys fleshing out the stats. We got my guy Brandon Ortega in the room. What's up, Brandon? I did that Aldo Munoz breakdown for you earlier. That was a great fight. I'm glad you asked me to do that one because I don't think enough people were appreciating that matchup. And even though it's the co-main event, I think it was kind of falling under the radar here, as a lot of people are talking about Fisayev and Green and Chiesa and Luque, which are some great fights, and of course the main event, and some interesting ones on the undercard too. So I'm glad I got to do that fight for you. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. B saying 2 people haven't smashed the like. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, smash the like, dude. Your Uncle Weezy, he appreciates that, dude. That's all I ask you guys. You hit that like if you like it. If you don't, then hit the dislike and fuck your Uncle Weezy. But not everything's for everybody. So do what's in your heart. We got Brandon saying, shh, ask that up and coming rapper that tried to break into his car if he's a bum. Yeah. Yeah, Lewis just doesn't get knockouts in the cage, does he, you guys? The guy's a knockout king. He has it tattooed across his chest for a reason. The guy's just telling the truth. B saying Lewis is top 5. Yeah, man, he's a top 5 guy. Look, 12 UFC knockouts, a 16-5 record in this division full of murderers. Dude, Derrick Lewis is a G, and he's a very likable guy too. So I'm definitely rooting for him here, man. We got Dave saying, in stats we trust. I trust in these stats, but man, I watch a ton of tape too, because you can't just look at the numbers. The numbers tell a really great story a lot of the time, but you got to look with your eyes as well. It's the numbers that'll get you the things that the eyes can't see. That's the tricky part, is to trust your numbers when your eyes are actually lying to you. And sometimes the numbers are the easiest way to figure out when your eyes are lying to you. We got Brandon saying, I can't see the stats because of Dave. Oh, shit. Yeah. Sorry. I will lower these a little bit. There we go. And we got Alan saying, calling a UFC a biter or calling a UFC fighter a bum clearly shows you have never been in a fight or any type of training. Actually, Alan, he's calling him a bum, but that dude, Dave, I know him from the chat at DFS by the Numbers Discord. Dave is fucking legit. That dude actually is friends with people who run gyms. He absolutely knows what he's talking about. And I understand what he's saying here. He's saying that, Lewis is one-dimensional. And he's right. Because he is kind of a bum compared to the skill set of Ciryl Gane. There are way less things that he does well in comparison to Ciryl Gane. But it's that power is the equalizer. We always talk about the puncher's chance. Well, Derrick Lewis is the epitome of what a puncher's chance is in the UFC. And Derrick Lewis is very smart about that puncher's chance. He's very intelligent in the way he fights by trying to get people into that power of his. And he's been incredibly successful doing it. My guy Dave is not a bum. He's been in fights and he fucking knows what he's talking about, Alan. I can guarantee you that. And I know you personally, Alan. You are a very good guy and you know your shit as well. We've talked UFC personally face-to-face many, many times. So thank you. We got no distance minus 200 all day. Thomas Howard, I'm right there with you, brother. That is the bet in my opinion, because as much as I like Derrick Lewis here, I believe that if Ciryl Gane wins this fight, he's going to win it inside the distance. However, even if you're on Gane, you got to pay up minus 350 to get the Gane money line. But if you really think that Gane is going to, if Gane wins, he does knock out Lewis, you can get the fight doesn't go to decision at a much better price at minus 200. And it covers both sides. It covers the Gane inside the distance and it covers what you might think is the unlikely scenario that Derrick Lewis does have that puncher's chance. He finds the big uppercut, he finds the big right hand, and sleeps Gane because he's never been hit like that. But that fight doesn't go to decision. Minus 200 is my favorite bet for this fight. So thank you, Thomas. I am right there with you, my man. And we got Headley one saying, which rounds are best for Lewis round props? I would say early, but, in a 5-round fight, you will often find smart fighters, especially guys like Gane, who his last 2 fights have been 5-round fights. He knows that you don't have to go balls out in round 1. You just want to conserve your energy. You want to kind of try to get your opponent's timing down. You want to be smart, So I think that if you're going to bet Derrick Lewis, maybe the second or the third round would be probably where he's going to carry the most power and have the most chance. He will have figured out the scenario in his head that how he wants to corner Ciryl Gane and land that big right hand. For Ciryl Gane, I think the knockout could come in any round because, like I say, Ciryl Gane moves so well and he's got such great kicks. If he hurts Derrick Lewis to the body, I'm sure that he could end it that way. We've seen Derrick Lewis nearly shit his pants in there a couple of times and be quite upfront about it, And I mean, I think everybody knows here. You don't need to be a mixed martial arts expert to know. I mean, you shit your pants in there, it's over. You've already lost. I mean, even in life, if you shit your pants in public, it's pretty much over. I mean, you do that at your job, you're probably going to get fired in a month. They'll tell you it's for another reason, but you just can't go around shitting your pants anywhere. It's socially unacceptable. So, if Gane hurts, Lewis to the body, there is that very horrific possibility that we will see a socially unacceptable thing happen in front of our eyes. It wouldn't be the first time. Humberto Brown against Gilbert Benitez comes to mind, and a couple others, of course. But anyway, yeah, I think Gane could get it at any point, but I think Derrick Lewis would have a better chance to do it after he feels him out, maybe second or third round. Second round would be the guess that I would make if I was going to just take a dart throw on a 1-round prop. We got Alan saying maybe closer to the fight, the odds will be tighter. I don't know, man, dude. As somebody who watches a lot of other content online and listens to a lot of really smart people who break down fights for a living, some of the smartest guys that I know, some of the most successful bettors are very, very confident on Gane. I don't see this, I think if you like Gane, you got to bet minus 350 now because I don't think it's going to come in any more than that. Derrick Lewis really just does have a puncher's chance in most people's minds. And I think the line is, I think it's a little bit disrespectful, but to be honest, it's not out of whack. I'm trying to give you guys some reasons to maybe pump the brakes just a little bit on Gane. But believe me, I understand fully all the reasons that people are on him. And there are oh so many. That 0.05% control time against right there. Well, actually, here, let me do this. Let me get Alan's comment off the screen. That 0.05 control time against is amazing. That 100% takedown defense in only 3 attempts, very good. 63% striking defense at the heavyweight level is amazing. Landing 5.13 strikes per minute and only absorbing 2.6. The athleticism, he moves like a middleweight. The footwork, the kicks, the diversity of strikes, all these things are amazing. And if you try to match skills with Ciryl Gane in that respect, he picks anyone apart. I just don't think Derrick Lewis is going to fight that kind of a fight. I don't even really know how he gets it done, but I think that he's got a couple of different plans, and they're not going to be pretty. And you know what? One of the things that he could do is he could try for a takedown. Derrick Lewis has brute strength, and potentially if he gets his arms around you and he throws your back to the mat and gets on top of you, that could be the end right there. So I think Derrick Lewis could even maybe go to the wrestling at some point in this fight. And if he finds any success there, I think it could be a very short night after he has that success for Ciryl Gane. We got Tyler in the room saying, man, oh man, what a matchup. The stats all point to Gane. Yes, they do. But Lewis has done this on numerous occasions. Dude, he did it to me last time, man. He totally, I was on Blades. I'll admit it. I mean, I thought Blades was going to get like 20 takedowns. And Derrick Lewis has only got, what is it, like something like 55% takedown defense? Yeah, 54.55% takedown defense. He's been taken down 35 times. So yeah, and he's undefeated in Houston too, man. And at this time of year, man, your balls will get really hot, especially down there in southern Texas, man. And we know how this man looks. When his balls are hot, he wins fights. So it's going to be a great one, man. Dude, we got Aldo saying Gane. Yeah, man, you and everybody else are on Gane. And I got no problem with it. I'm just here so that somebody can give you a little bit of a different take on this one, because I'm seeing the same take from everybody. And Thomas Howard saying, interested to see Gane react to the entire stadium booing him. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I never really even thought about that. He is not going to be in front of a friendly crowd here, man. Not only is Derrick Lewis a real fan favorite, not only is this happening in the United States, man, it's happening right in his backyard in Houston, Texas. And them Texas boys, man. We got B saying Lewis has the power. Gane has speed and cardio. Absolutely right on both. We got Brandon Ortega saying, I think Lewis cardio will be a tad bit better here. Yeah, he's looking more athletic. He's looking a little more mobile and light on his feet lately, and he has lost some weight. He has worked on his conditioning. I think it'll be a little bit better here. It's just not going to be in the same stratosphere as Gane, in my opinion, and that's fine. That's why I say, he's never had great conditioning, but here he is at 16-5. You don't get a 16-5 record in the UFC without doing something right. So and he's always had that bad conditioning, but he fights in a way where he constantly is conserving energy when he's not trying to knock you out. And when he's conserving his energy, he's oftentimes staying safe. And if he's staying safe, saving up that energy, when he does throw that energy at you and he lands, 16 wins, 12 by knockout. Very impressive performances. And the guys that he hasn't knocked out, that he's beat, they tried to wrestle the shit out of him unsuccessfully. Think Roy Nelson, think Ilir Latifi. Those are situations where, they decided that they didn't want to deal with Lewis's power on the feet, so they went to their wrestling. And that didn't work either. And it's not going to work for Gane, because Gane is not a wrestler. He's just not a wrestler. And it would just be too big of a risk for him to try to take down Derrick Lewis. If he gets reversed, it's over. We got PayPal saying, what's up to Ciryl? My guy Ciryl in the room. Aldo saying, sup, homie, staying up late with the boys. Yeah, man, we got to do this one. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of extra content. I just wanted to give a different take on this fight. Lewis will be eating calf kicks, I bet. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Brandon Ortega saying, I agree, Weezy. Yeah, hey, thanks, man. I had to give a little bit of a different take on this one. Slot Fever saying, I once bet on Lewis. They made a mistake on ticket, and I went back and had him change it, and Lewis got knocked out in seconds. Oh, my God. Does it make a difference that the fight is in Lewis' hometown of Houston? I mean, it might. It could help, but a lot of times people will say fighting in front of a home crowd can be distracting. It's hard to know. But Ciryl Gane, he's fought in Vegas. He's fought in the small cage. I don't think it's going to be a big deal for him fighting here in some booze. He's very good at what he does, and I don't think he's going to get emotional in there and fall away from the game plan. And I think that's really important. He needs to stay safe. He needs to stick to the game plan and make no mistakes for 25 consecutive minutes in order to win this fight. We got Zor saying, Lewis would tell you that Lewis is a bum. Alan saying, my bad. No, it's all good, Alan. I'm just telling you that I know you personally, and I know my guy Dave, and my guy Dave is fucking legit. So I just needed to let you know that, because you know me. Now you know that Dave is fucking legit. And we got Dave saying, no worries at all. Glad chat gets involved. Yeah, dude, that's why I do these live now, man. You know, we're here to share our opinion, and we make each other better, because a lot of times, I mean, I know, especially in Dave's case, this guy brings information to the table that some of us don't have. He knows people, and he's been really good about getting us some news before it got out to the rest of the public, and he's been right every time he's talked about that. And we got Dave saying that's why we were here to share our opinion. Absolutely, man. Alan saying amen. Absolutely. Lewis ground and pound is second to none. Yep. And Z's in the MMA in the room. Dude, good to see you, Z's. He's saying great point, Weezy. Lewis is a veteran in that regard. Yeah, you know, he's just I don't think he gets enough credit for how smart he fights. He fights incredibly smart. He conserves his energy, and he doesn't try to do things that are outside of what he does best, which is knock motherfuckers unconscious. And I know that that's what he's going to be trying to do here. So let's take a look at the advanced stats here real quick before we go, and take a look at the wins and losses of these gentlemen. We got to go all the way up to the top here. And we got Ciryl Gane here. He is 6-0 in the UFC. Started off with a win over Rafael Pessoa, 1-2. A win over Don'Tale Mayes, 3-3. Win over Tanner Boser, 4-3. We got a win over Junior Dos Santos. Wait, something just happened. I got to do an undo here. And okay, so Tanner Boser 4-3. Junior Dos Santos 15-8. Jairzinho Rosenstrike 6-2. And Alexander Volkov 7-3. So those last four wins over Boser, Dos Santos, Rosenstrike, and Volkov, all incredibly impressive. 3 of them by decision, 1 of them by knockout. We see him landing over 100 strikes in each of the 5-round fights. 102 against Rosenstrike, 135 against Volkov, and he's got 1 knockdown in the last 4 fights. And we see that, like I say, against Rosenstrike, he was 2 for 14 on takedown attempts. So Rosenstrike didn't make him pay for those takedown attempts, and he only got 269 seconds of control off of those 14 takedown attempts. So that's less than 20 seconds of control per takedown attempt. So, and he had some clinch control as well in that fight. So, he's not going to use his wrestling against a guy like Lewis, I don't think. And he was 0 for 4 in the takedown attempts here. And we see that he's definitely outstriking his opponents. Volkov did land over 100 significant strikes, but, like I say, he probably maybe won one of those rounds. That Gane won at least 4 of those rounds. Is a very clear victory, and especially over Rosenstrike, he pretty much shut him out. So, and we see that, only 1 takedown attempt here in the Junior Dos Santos fight and 2 takedown attempts in the Rafael Pessoa fight. I think that Derrick Lewis would be smart to at least try 1 takedown in this fight. If we look at Derrick Lewis's wins, we can go all the way back here. We see Jack May 0-2, Guto Inocencio 1-2, Juan Potts 0-3, Victor Pesto 1-4, and Damian Grabowski 0-3. So if we look at those first 5 wins, we see a combined record in those 5 wins of 2-14. So definitely Derrick Lewis on his way in was crushing cans. And when he came across legitimate guys like Sean Jordan and Matt Mitrione, he got knocked out in the first and second rounds. And then he got knocked out in the 4th round by Mark Hunt. And then the other losses came to Daniel Cormier and Junior Dos Santos. While the wins, after the Grabowski win, we see him start to get much better wins over guys like Gonzaga, Roy Nelson, Shamil Abdul-Rahimov, Travis Brown, Tabura, who's on a 4-fight winning streak right now, and Gano, the current champion, Alexander Volkov, Blagoy Ivanov, super tough dude. I mean, Blagoy Ivanov got stabbed in the heart and lived, and then went back to his mixed martial arts career after the surgery for getting stabbed in the heart. So that's a big win right there. And then we got the win over Latifi, close decision. He got out-controlled for about 480 seconds there. And then a win over Olynyk when he was very close to getting subbed by a scarf hold. And then the win over Curtis Blades. So, we see the last couple of wins losses to guys like Cormier and Dos Santos, Hunt, The guys that have beaten him have been either power punchers or wrestlers. Like in Sean Jordan wrestled him, Mitrione power puncher, Hunt power puncher, and Dos Santos, one of the leaders in all-time UFC knockouts until Derrick Lewis passed him up. So we see wrestlers beating him. We see power punchers beating him. Gane will be the first kind of like complete striker and athletic guy to get a win over Derrick Lewis. So very interesting stuff here. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think these are two very exciting guys. I'm hoping Derrick Lewis wins. I'd like to see him get the win in his hometown. I think he's a really likable guy. I think Gane is flat out boring a lot of the times, and I think that this could potentially be a boring fight. So I'm rooting for Lewis. I'm going to be looking at that knockout prop for Lewis, but I'm not in any rush because I don't think this line is going to do anything but get more wide for Ciryl Gane, and for good reason. We went through all these numbers. Come on, man. This guy, Ciryl Gane, the numbers on the page do not lie. The guy is an incredibly unique talent. But Derrick Lewis is an incredibly unique challenge, and I can't wait to see this, man. Headley one saying that Gane's cardio will be great. He just fought like a month ago. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe coming back even just a little too soon, but like I say, Volkov never hurt him. So, I'm not surprised he's coming back this quickly because it was a dominant performance. Not dominant in the sense that he beat the shit out of Volkov, but dominant in the sense that Volkov really did not have many moments in that fight at all. So, yeah, we got Ciryl Gane as a minus 350 favorite. Derrick Lewis on the comeback at plus 280. Derrick Lewis by knockout is plus 390. I think it was plus 430 the other day. So it looks like some money is coming in there, and that makes sense. Somebody made a comment on Stat Diggers on Sunday saying something like Derrick Lewis plus 275, Derrick Lewis by knockout plus 276. And that's kind of like what it should be, right? What his fight ends in KO is what Brady is saying in the chat. Let's see here. Method and round combo. How fight will end. Okay. Minus 130 that the fight will end in KO. So once again, my man DFS by the numbers bringing up a huge betting opportunity right here. That is a cheeky little bet, ladies and germs, because like I mentioned, I don't think Ciryl Gane's going to wrestle. I don't see this going into the wrestling realm. And Derrick Lewis, if he wins, it's by knockout. And if Gane wins, it's probably inside the distance. And if it's inside the distance, it's probably going to be a knockout for Gane as well, because Derrick Lewis is not the kind of guy that you can take down and hold down unless you've really hurt him first. I could see maybe a club and sub, but I would think that minus 130 on the pure fight will end in knockout line is some really nice value there. If it ends in submission, that's plus 700, and points is plus 140. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty good look right there. If we look at some of these round props, let's see what we can find here. Ciryl Gane, round 1, plus 470. Round 2, plus 850. Round 3, plus 1,000. Round 4, plus 1,200. Round 5, plus 1,400. We got Lewis to win in round 1, plus 900. Lewis to win in round 2, that would have been my dart throw, plus 1,500. There's some meat on that bone. Maybe not bad there. Plus 2,600 in the third man, plus 3,700 in the fourth, and plus 4,000 in the fifth. Those are fat. I wouldn't blame you for betting any of those. And the method and round combo. Will the fight go the distance? Minus 200, no. I think that's a great bet. I think it's a great parlay piece. I think it's a great place if you're looking to win 1 unit to bet 2. You got it right there. Bet 2 units to win 1. Derrick Lewis, Ciryl Gane fight doesn't go to decision. Covers both sides unless Gane is able to win by decision. I think that's the only way. We're not going to see Derrick Lewis win this by decision. So, and let's see. Ciryl Gane inside the distance, which is the double chance bet. Ciryl Gane by KO or submission. So Ciryl Gane inside the distance is plus 105. Derrick Lewis inside the distance is plus 350. But wait, what was he by just KO? I think you get worse odds to bet Derrick Lewis by KO and submission than you do just Derrick Lewis by KO. Yeah, Derrick Lewis by KO is plus 390. Derrick Lewis by KO and submission plus 350. Well, I guess that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, he's not going to get a submission, so I would just go by the KO. I mean, when has Derrick Lewis ever submitted anybody? I mean, that would be crazy. I would be shocked if that happened. Yeah, so I think DFS by the numbers is right there, where a great bet is that the fight ends in KO. That's minus 130. I think another great bet, fight doesn't go to decision, minus 200. If you're on the Derrick Lewis side, to get Derrick Lewis by knockout at about plus 400, that's a cheeky little way to play it because that's how he wins. And then if you're on the Gane side, I mean, he could win it by decision. He could win it by KO. I don't know. You might just have to, because I think Gane, like we mentioned, he's an equal opportunity winner. He's just got just as many by knockout and submission and decision in the UFC. So it's kind of hard to pick a prop for Gane because he's gotten it done so many ways in the past, while Derrick Lewis is obviously a lot more one-dimensional in terms of he just finishes fights with knockouts. All right, so let's see. So yeah, DFS by the numbers is the one who pointed out the minus 130 fight ends in KO. I think that's a great little bet. We got Monk saying Gane looks extremely loose and comfortable on unbetted. He looks ready. I'm not surprised, dude. The guy's undefeated. His confidence has to be through the roof because not only is he winning these fights, but he's just kind of making it look easy, isn't he? He's not even getting hurt out there. He really hasn't even been tested yet. And I think one of the things that always shocks people is when you see a guy like Gane get their first loss, and they always do at some point. You know, unless you're Khabib Nurmagomedov, you don't get out of this sport having gotten a belt and not lost. And I mean, like, even John Jones has lost rounds. I mean, you know, he's had really close fights. You could have say he lost the fight to Reyes. You could say he lost. You could say he lost a couple of fights. There were a couple of them that were certainly close. You know, and he does have a loss on his record to Matt Hamill. We know that wasn't really a loss, but I mean, you know, it's always until they get that first loss, then you realize that they are a human being, that they are infallible, and that, you know, that they are fallible, and that, you know, that anybody can be beat. And it's just hard to picture it until it happens. So a guy like Gane, it hasn't happened yet, and he hasn't even had a tough time yet. You know, he kind of reminds me of when Lyoto Machida was champion at 205 many years ago. Man, when he got that belt, like when he came into the UFC, he was not just beating people. I don't think he lost a fucking round. I mean, he was dominant. There was nobody that could figure out Machida's style. They couldn't get near him. His jiu-jitsu was good enough if you tried to take him down that he could threaten with submissions. You know, he was incredible defensively. And when you got impatient and tried to rush in, he would just clock you. And he was winning every round, you know. And then all of a sudden one day, man, somebody beats you, and then you realize it's like, oh, now that somebody's beaten you, the blueprint's out there, and everybody else figures out how to do it too. And it's going to happen to Gane. He's only been in this sport for 3 years, you know. Eventually he's going to lose. I mean, we know what the heavyweight division is like. Nobody even defends this belt for usually, I mean, like the GOAT, Stipe Miocic, defended the belt how many times? Twice? You know? I mean, come on, man. This is not a sport where you have this is not a division where you have longevity and you put together massive winning streaks. So if Gane were the one to do it, he'd be the first, because everybody at heavyweight, they find the weakness and then eventually they go by the wayside. And people haven't found Gane's weakness yet. Maybe it'll be Derrick Lewis. Maybe we'll have to wait. Maybe it'll be Francis Ngannou. And if it's not either of those guys, then who knows who it's going to be. But somebody will eventually, or he'll retire undefeated and he'll be the first, and your Uncle Weezy will look like a fucking asshole. We got Z's saying, ooh. We got DFS by the numbers saying beautiful. And we got Z saying that is a tasty bet. Yeah, I totally agree, man. That is a great bet, the minus 130. And I like the fight doesn't go to decision. I also like the Derrick lose by KO, but fight ends in KO, minus 130. Thank you, DFS by the numbers. That is a fantastic one. We got Alan saying Gus. Yeah, Gus really took John Jones to the limit, man. That was a close fight. And, that could have went either way, too. We got Aldo saying, I think JDS did it. Gane can definitely do it. Oh, yeah. I mean, JDS knocked out, what do you call it? Gane, Lewis. He knocked out Lewis. If that's what you're referring to JDS doing. He's asking, Monk is asking if I'm parlaying Gane at all. Probably not. I gave out a 4-leg parlay. Somebody asked me for just a degenerate parlay on my last stream, and I gave fight doesn't go to decision would be a nice parlay piece in my opinion at minus 200. But yeah, Gane's a good parlay piece at 350. If you're one of the people that really thinks he cruises here, and there's a dozen reasons to think that he will. I think Gane's a great parlay piece. I think Johnny Munoz Jr. is a great parlay piece. I think Alonzo Menifield's a great parlay piece. I think the fight doesn't go to decision in the main event's a great parlay piece. I think the fight goes to decision in the Kovalevich-Penne fight and the Hill-Torres fight are both great parlay pieces. And there's a lot of spots to attack on this card. I'm already pretty heavy with bets, and I'm looking to maybe make one or two more. But this main event is intriguing, and I'm really glad that you guys. Really sorry, I'm reading the chat and trying to talk to you guys at the same time. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, man. I've already went an hour and 11 minutes. It's entirely too long, but I wanted to talk this out with you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I wanted to just give you a little bit of a different opinion on this fight. Hopefully you found it entertaining. If you did, leave a like on your way out. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. I'll be doing this kind of content on my channel 3 to 4 times a week. I'm doing Stat Diggers every Sunday with my man DFS by the Numbers on Pub Sports Radio. We're doing a DraftKings show every Tuesday night on Pub Sports Radio with DFS by the Numbers, Sparring with Reality, Luke, and my man Z's MMA, who's hanging out with us right now. It's a great show. We had a great first week. My mic will be fixed for the second week. I'll be coming through loud and clear, and I can't wait to see you guys again. I think I'm done with the content for this week. I might do a last-minute Balls Deep breakdown if I got the time tomorrow. If you have any fights you'd like to see me break down on that, run it by me on Twitter. I can't guarantee that I'll do it because I've already done 4 this week, but maybe I will. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Aldo saying thanks, Weezy. Definitely hedging plenty of Lewis. Yeah, I agree. I would hedge. It doesn't hurt, especially when you're getting like plus 400 on the knockout prop. Alan C saying late night MMA chat, can't beat it, dude. I agree, man. I love staying up with you guys. It's 1:14 in the morning. I still got a beer to finish here. I can't wait. And we got Brandon saying, whoop, whoop. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Brandon. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the suggestion to do the Aldo fight on Twitter. And thank all you guys for hanging out with me tonight. God bless. I wish you luck with all your action on UFC 265, and I will see you guys soon. I am signing off for the night. Take care.